is a Wave breaking news alert.
Stomach-churning claims in court documents. An accused murderer caught on camera holding his own father's head in a bag. We thank you for watching Wave News at 5. I'm Myra Ansari.
And I'm Brian Schlunsky. New tonight, detectives and prosecutors say they had probable cause to arrest Bryce Winicky. This was based on his mother's words and that security video. Wave News anchor Jose Zozaya is walking us through these disturbing details.
Brian, Myra, this affidavit right here lays out the timeline Jeffersonville police have of this gruesome crime. But detectives come into the story when they got a call from 33-year-old Bryce Winicky's mother Friday morning. The documents tell us that she let dispatch know she couldn't get in touch with her ex-husband, who's been identified as Eric Winicky, and that she feared her son Bryce, quote, might have hurt him. Further in the affidavit, Winicky's mother tells detectives the last time she talked to her ex was last Wednesday at 10 p.m. and that in that phone call, she told the victim her son was, quote, delusional and acting very weird. Then, on Friday at around 9:15 in the morning, the documents reveal the mom told officers her son Bryce grabbed what she described as a knife from her drawer and that he, quote, flew out of her home on Callaway Drive. The affidavit later says it wasn't until the mother and her other son came to Eric Winicky's home Friday that she saw blood all over the home in Summerlin Place. And again, based on the document, she called Bryce, and over the phone, he said, quote, I went over to Dad's house because he's the evilest person that ever lived. I cut his head off, end quote. In the same affidavit, another Jeffersonville PD officer says he witnesses Winicky walking to the house on Callaway with a plastic grocery bag and something inside it, and him holding a large knife in his right hand. Now, Winicky is now due in court tomorrow afternoon, and what I've just listed here, Myra and Brian, was only in the first half of this affidavit. So I will have much more to share coming up at 6. Jose Zozaya, Wave News.
All right. Thank you, Jose.
LMPD is still searching for the suspect who shot a woman at a JCPS bus stop in front of her young child. That says other kids were around waiting for their bus to get to school. Police have shared these photos of the shooter now here on your screen. If you recognize them or have any information on this case, please call police.
And while LMPD hasn't shared an exact number, they say there were multiple children at that bus stop on 10th and Chestnut when those shots were fired.
And mental health experts say that witnessing this or just even hearing about it can have a profound impact on a child's mental well-being.
Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia-Franceschini talked with counselors about all of this. He joins us live now from the bus stop where that shooting happened with more on what parents should know. Fernando.
Yeah, Brian, JCPS and local organizations were providing counseling and mental health services to students following the shooting that happened at the bus stop behind me. But I spoke to a counselor who said that parents should also be checking in on their children at home. Dr. Charles Pemberton says children react to traumatic events differently depending on their age. So, for example, the youngest children may be most impacted by the loud noises of gunfire, while the older ones may be more impacted by the fact another child lost their mom. He says that's why it's important for parents to be there for their children and not to pressure them.
It's not always about what you say. It's about just taking the time to really be there versus being on your phone or preparing dinner or other things. Just take those moments and really be there for your child.
Dr. Pemberton says parents can also find extra resources at their children's school. He also says families needing immediate assistance and help can and should call or text the 988 crisis hotline. Fernando Garcia-Franceschini, Wave News.
Yeah, big issue. All right, thank you, Fernando. Meantime, some city leaders have voiced their support for a parental responsibility law. They hope that it's a way to prevent teens from shooting people. No legislation has been written yet, but Mayor Craig Greenberg says he believes that parents should be held accountable for their kids. Wave News reporter David Mattingly finds support for that idea from within LMPD.
The Commonwealth's attorney on Thursday said there ought to be a law that allows her to prosecute parents whose children commit acts of gun violence. Now, 4 days later, the idea of parental responsibility is gaining momentum. How a parent's actions or lack of actions might become a crime if their child commits gun violence is still up for discussion. And last week, Commonwealth's Attorney Jarena Weathers gave everyone a lot to talk about. Weathers called on state lawmakers to pass a parental responsibility law. Weathers believes parents who do nothing to keep guns out of the hands of their children and who seek no help in stopping them from committing acts of violence should be punished. When questioned about parental responsibility Monday, LMPD Deputy Chief Emily McKinley says the focus needs to be on families with kids who are most at risk. She urged parents to monitor phones, social media accounts, and their living space.
Go in your kids' rooms, look in your kids' rooms, figure out what they're up to, if there's guns or any other sort of behaviors that could indicate that they're involved in this suspicious activity or any violent crime. We need to know that. You need to let us intervene.
In the meantime, no legislation has been crafted. No committees have been called to discuss parental responsibility. But a legislative leader says to expect to hear a lot more about this issue in the months leading up to the next legislative session. David Mattingly, Wave News.
LMPD has not arrested the shooter yet in the death of Jeremiah Offit. Police say the 22-year-old who was shot and killed in a parking lot in the Chickasaw neighborhood was an innocent bystander. The mother of 3 was pregnant with her 4th child when she died. LMPD currently does not have any suspects in this case. If you know anything, you're encouraged to call the tip line at 574-LMPD.
Let's switch gears now and get a check of your forecast. It's been a hot couple of days here across Wave Country as we take a live look outside from one of our SkyTrack cameras.
Yeah, let's check in with Kevin. If you have plans to go to the fair tonight, any relief in sight?
Yeah, not tonight, but later in the fair days, meaning as we get closer to the weekend, we see a decent cool down. So if you're looking for the cooler weather, you're going to have to wait a couple of days. Today, warm. We're still in the 90s. That heat index makes it feel even hotter. So the actual air temperature, 92 at the airport. Most of us are close to that number, give or take a degree. When you factor in the dew points that are in that 70-degree category, that's sticky. There are a few in the miserable category. That's the deeper red back out to the west, and that simply means higher dew points, higher humidity values, and a higher heat index, over 100 for many of those folks. We have just a few around our viewing area that are near 100. Here in Louisville, 98 is what it feels like. No relief in Louisville, but we are tracking a few fading downpours as they move closer to parts of Lawrence County, Jackson counties of southern Indiana. Hour by hour, that minor rain chance will fade out within the next hour or so. With a mainly clear sky, we're in the 70s overnight tonight. We'll talk about the rest of the week, including the state fair forecast and what you can expect when that cool down arrives. That's all in the 10-day earliest alert in just a few.
We have a breaking news alert right now. Sentencing for 2 of the men convicted in the killing of Bardstown mother Crystal Rogers is delayed. Crystal's boyfriend at the time of her disappearance, Brooks Houck, and Joseph Lawson, they were supposed to be sentenced this Thursday. That date has now been pushed back to Wednesday, September 17th. The judge says the date change is happening because of health issues with Joseph Lawson. The jury recommended life in prison for Houck and 20 years for Lawson. A third man convicted in the case, Stephen Lawson, was sentenced to 17 years in prison earlier this month.
A public meeting that was set for tonight to talk about the Reimagine 9th Street project is canceled. City leaders and community members were to meet to talk about progress for the Reimagine 9th Street project. The project is focusing on 9th Street, Roy Wilkins Avenue, Muhammad Ali Boulevard, and the Chestnut Street River Park Drive. The meeting has now been rescheduled for September 15th. When finished, the area will offer different venues such as art displays, new retail businesses, and partnerships for programming.
Well, new here at 5, the winners are selected for this year's largest pumpkin and watermelon award at the Kentucky State Fair. So the annual contest weigh-in took place on Saturday, showcasing some of the heaviest homegrown produce in the state. That's a big one. This year's champions include a massive 1,600-pound pumpkin grown by Josh Monin. The largest watermelon came in around 258 pounds from Nick McCaslin. Now, this year, there was a higher premium payout for the first place largest pumpkin. This year, the payout increased from $1 per pound to $2. That's not bad if the first place pumpkin weighs over 1,000 pounds. They're huge.
How about that? There's always something neat to see at the fair, including tomorrow when you can join us, the Wave News team. We'll be there for Wave News Day at the fair. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., you can stop by, talk, take pictures. We'll have some free swag for you. We'll be inside, too, in the air conditioning in South Wing A.
A local organization is teaching others the importance of speaking up and prioritizing your health. You're going to hear the message after one man's close call coming up.
And a Bardstown woman is behind bars after investigators say that she tried to kill her loved ones by setting a fire. We're going to break down the details from this arrest next on Wave News at 5.
Now, Wave News.
A woman was arrested after Nelson County sheriffs say that she tried to set a home on fire to kill her mother and her boyfriend. Take a look here. 33-year-old Sarah Shelburne is facing several charges, including arson and attempted murder. Police say they were called out to a home around 9:30 on Saturday night regarding a fire on Little Union Road in Fairfield. They say that Shelburne intentionally set the fire after an argument with her mother. She admitted to police that she wanted to kill her mother and boyfriend. During an interview with police, they say that Shelburne became aggressive and then assaulted a deputy. She's now booked in the Nelson County Correctional Center.
A man is still fighting for his life after being shot allegedly by his stepson. Dionys Lee Jr. was charged with assault and domestic violence in connection to the shooting. It happened just before 11 o'clock Saturday morning at the Jamestown Apartments on Markham Lane. Police said that they found an apartment with the door open with two people standing outside and a gun on the ground. They told police that someone inside the apartment had been shot. Lee's arrest report shows that the victim was his stepfather.
We are learning more now about an incident that caused Kentucky State University to issue a lockdown. This morning, Franklin police provided an update saying that they responded to reports of shots fired around 2:30 on Sunday morning. Officers went to Young Hall where they say multiple people in a car started shooting at a group of people who were walking on campus. Witnesses told police they heard about 20 gunshots. Two people were shot, with one of them being seriously injured. KSU says none of their students were involved in this incident.
New here at 5, Indiana State Police say new technology is helping them recover stolen cars. Troopers from the Indiana State Police at the Indianapolis Post say that they have recovered 336 vehicles since January 1st. Now, those recoveries have led to several arrests. The recent increase in availability of license plate reading cameras have helped with the recovery. One squad is credited with recovering 192 of those. This squad is made up of 13 troopers and 2 supervisors. They alone have put more than 300 people in jail on various criminal charges just this year.
You can score free tickets to see Lou City play by rolling up your sleeves to donate blood. We'll tell you all about this event that's happening at Lynn Family Stadium this weekend.
I'll tell you about the weather for the weekend, and maybe even more importantly, before we get to the weekend, a lot of state fair time in between. We'll go through the next 10 days when we come back on Wave News at 5.
All right, if you have some plans outdoors, I was saying earlier that this shirt gives me Cruella de Vil vibes, and then you said no, it's the
It
black
reminds me
and
of
white
that
cookie.
New York cookie. Yeah.
I just think it's a cool shirt. I like it.
Thanks.
Now I'll be thinking about cookies.
You'll have to Google that in the weather.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
No, that sounds good.
Hey, we've got storm chances that are going to be increasing just in time for our day at the fair tomorrow. Scattered
Perfect.
chance.
Yeah, you and I are running around, right?
I think so, yeah. So it'll be hot, but maybe we'll get a cooling thunder shower. Let me walk through the chances with you. We'll start with our weather headline that details the scattered storms that will return. All of us are starting to need a little bit of rain at this point. Not all of us are going to get it. The Futurecast shows the fronts to our north. The best chance is across northern Indiana. Notice as that fades, as it pushes farther to the south, it puts us in a scattered category for a few downpours rolling through the late afternoon and early evening hours, and then the front pushes past, sort of stalls out, gets hung up. It's not going to really cool down until we reach the weekend. You'll see a little bit of a difference for the latter part of the week, but the real cool down comes after the weekend. You'll see it in the 10-day coming up in just a second. So let's talk those rain chances. Tomorrow during the afternoon, once we hit that 3 o'clock time frame, we're going to push it to a 30% chance. That's a scattered opportunity for showers and thunderstorms. Same story, 5, 6 o'clock. That's 40%, and we'll start to trail that rain chance down just a bit as we push closer to the evening hours. So it's not a guarantee for rain tomorrow. If you get some, just consider yourself lucky because we're starting to need the rain. If we see some of those downpours developing with the heating of the day between that 2 and 8 p.m. time frame, a few of those could be strong. The main issue is going to be brief heavy rain with some lightning and the gusty winds that will come along with it. The best chance is to our north, as we mentioned, in that marginal risk area. In general, that's along and north of the Ohio River. All right, let me get you outside. The midway is set up. A lot of folks have been out there running around today. It is a little on the warm side. We're at 92 right now in Louisville. Most areas are close to 90 degrees, give or take on either side a degree or two. You factor in the humidity, you get the heat index, what it feels like to us. Take the water bottle if you're headed out. 98 in Louisville. A few of you are near 100. Or just at or above 100. The downpours we've been tracking to our north are starting to fade as they push farther to the south. Could impact parts of northern Jennings, over into Jackson, maybe even parts of Lawrence County. That's the small rain chance. Here in Jefferson County, we are dry. Going to keep it that way likely through the rest of the evening. Few severe thunderstorms, along with warnings and a tornado warning northern Illinois. Few other severe thunderstorm warnings dot the map back out to our west, where we have the core of the heat. That's where we're in the mid to upper 90s and even a few above 100 with just the air temperature. Our future cast will show tonight into tomorrow. Note the time, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. We're going to be dry early in the day as the heating builds tomorrow. After we get past the 3 o'clock, 5, 6, we see these downpours develop, especially along that front. The risk of severe weather is low. In fact, the lowest on the scale, marginal risk across our northernmost counties. Timing it out again, showing the 30 to 40% chance. At the fair tomorrow for Wave Day, we'll keep that 40% chance at 4 o'clock, 30% otherwise. It's just going to be hot. Temperatures in the mid-90s. We're close to that now at 92. The winds fairly calm, warm and muggy tonight. We'll go down to 73. Here comes the forecast for your Tuesday. A scattered storm chance in the afternoon, and that could be briefly strong for folks that see them. 95 for the high. And in the 10-day earliest alert, notice the temperatures near 90 right into the weekend. The rain chances are low, and as the rain chances go down next week, the temperatures do too, closer to 80 degrees, and even a day Monday in the upper 70s.
This morning, that nice cool breeze did feel really good.
Yeah, the wind matters when it's going to be so hot.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay. Well, if you're in the market for a new job, more than 20 companies will be a part of a job fair at Cardinal Stadium. They include JCPS, Norton Healthcare, UPS, and more. The job fair is Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium. Employers will have booths set up inside the PNC Club Room. If you can pre-register for the event at jobnewslouisville.com. Parking and admission are free.
You can also score some free tickets to Saturday's Lou City game, all by donating blood. Lou City is partnering with Kentucky Blood Center for this drive. They will bring their blood mobile to Lynn Family Stadium. They'll be stationed inside the fan zone from 4 to 7:30 p.m. If you donate blood, you can get hooked up with a complimentary ticket to Lou City's 8 p.m. game against New Mexico United. Donors can also get a free t-shirt and a chance to win a free grocery bill for a year.
President Trump says Ukraine's leader must agree to some of Russia's conditions as plans continue to end the war between the two countries. We're hearing more negotiations laid out in their meeting in Washington.
President Trump continues his push to end the war between Russia and Ukraine.
And today, Ukraine's president returned to the White House, his first visit to the Oval Office since February testing meeting between President Trump.
More than a half dozen European leaders join Zelensky as they search for an end to this war.
NBC's Julie Sirkin has the details from Washington.
At the White House, a show of solidarity. European leaders and the head of NATO joining Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in his latest meeting with President Trump.
Thank you very much for being here.
It's the next step as the president pushes for an end to Russia's war against Ukraine, now in its 4th year. The goal, getting Zelensky and President Vladimir Putin to meet face to face.
I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
The high-stakes conversations follow Friday's unusual summit in Alaska, where the president rolled out the red carpet, literally, for Putin. But talks were cut short, and President Trump returned to Washington without a peace deal or a ceasefire agreement.
We're going to have a phone call right after these meetings today, and we may or may not have a trilat. If we don't have a trilat, then the fighting continues.
And Ukraine is looking for security guarantees to prevent another Russian invasion in the future.
There'll be a lot of help. When it comes to security, there's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good.
Russia wants to keep the Ukrainian territory it occupied, about 20% of the country.
He's certainly asking for things that the Ukrainians and others are not willing to be supportive of, and that we're not going to push them to give.
President Trump has signaled Ukraine might have to concede some regions to Russia, something Zelensky may not agree to, but saying today.
We need to stop this war to stop Russia, and we need support American and European partners, and we will do our best for this.
It was Zelensky's first visit to the White House since February's contentious Oval Office meeting.
You don't have the cards right now.
Now both sides hoping for a smoother relationship, which leads to peace. And during that meeting with President Trump, President Zelensky passed along a letter from his wife to Melania Trump. You'll remember it comes after President Trump hand-delivered a letter from the First Lady to Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday, urging him to end the war because of the children being affected by it. In Washington, Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
We've been following this case for a week. A Kentucky boy reported missing, then found dead. We have new details about charges in the case and when the boy will be laid to rest. That update is next.
Now, Wave News at 5.
The mother charged with killing her son, 10-year-old Jaden Spicer, was back in court today.
Felicia Gross's manslaughter charge was upgraded to murder, and we learned that she was going to be indicted. Just moments later, we were told Felicia's husband, Joshua Gross, was also being charged for Jaden's death.
Alyssa Williams was there for all of it, and she has the details.
I went into what many thought was going to be a preliminary hearing for Felicia Gross this morning to learn that this case had already been forwarded to a grand jury and that she, along with her husband, Joshua Gross, were indicted on numerous charges regarding the death of Jaden Spicer.
On Tuesday night, I told you that Jaden was now in good hands and that we were going to take care of him. Today is the next phase in that promise.
After several moments of back and forth in the courtroom, Commonwealth's attorney for the 39th District, Miranda King, shared Felicia Gross was now charged with murder. Then she revealed another important piece of this case.
In addition to their action against Felicia Gross, the grand jury also saw fit to return an indictment on Joshua Gross.
Joshua was charged with complicity to murder, complicity to falsely reporting, tampering with physical evidence, abuse of a corpse, and 2 counts of complicity to witness tampering. WKYT was the only camera to get exclusive video of Joshua in custody Monday.
Everybody probably had in mind that he was part of it.
Community members like Ronna Canese, Savannah Pratt, and Leona Prater have ties to Jaden's family and have been following this case since the beginning. Now they hope to see that justice will be fully served.
I feel like this is the perfect representation of like whenever you're a kid and you think that monsters live under your bed, but really they walk amongst you every day and you just never know.
And it's not clear on why Felicia's charge was changed to murder or what led to Joshua being charged. Kentucky State Police tell us that Jaden's autopsy results should be out in the upcoming weeks, and that will give us a better idea on what he was given prior to his death and an estimated time of his death as well.
The judge has denied a change of venue request for a 15-year-old Southern Indiana teen who's accused of raping a 7-year-old on a school bus. That means that Landon Doty will face trial as an adult in Jennings County on a dozen charges, including rape and child molesting. Court documents say the victim suffers from moderate to severe autism and is nonverbal. The alleged abuse happened on the way to and from school in front of other children. We are following more on the day's biggest stories tonight on Wave Extra. Anchor Jose Zozaya is in the Wave Now studio with more. Jose?
Yeah, Brian, we have disturbing updates thanks to a copy of a probable cause affidavit. Jeffersonville Police's timeline is connecting some early dots, establishing suspect Bryce Winicki's relationship to the victim, who called 911, and a security camera capturing the most upsetting images, what police believe is the victim's head in a bag. Join us at 8 tonight. Wave Extra is streaming, of course, on all of our social media channels and on Wave Now through your smart TVs.
All right, Jose, we had a lot of heavy stories today, so let's talk about something nice, at least, the weather.
The weather, a lot of people heading out to the fair. Kevin standing on a freeway. It looks like traffic's not too bad, so there's some positivity.
It's not always the best place to stand, but, you know, when it's in a chroma key, you're okay.
Are you on the Great Lawn? Where are you exactly?
Just down here in the waterfront building, you know. Hey, you can see traffic at a dead standstill. No, that's the camera that's frozen there. There it is. Anyway, we don't have a ton of traffic to deal with. That's good news on a hot day. We're looking at temperatures that are now at 92. It's been the warmest so far today. Mid-80s to our north from Indianapolis to Chicago, but it is hotter back to the west. That's where we have the heat and the humidity, prompting those advisories in some places. You can see those heat index values topping 100, in some cases above 105 and 110. We're not that hot. We're not going to be quite that hot. The warm front continues to track by. We've got a brief downpour off to our north. It's trying to hold at least a shower together as it moves into the northern part of our viewing area. If we were to see it, it would be in northern Lawrence, Jackson, or Jennings counties, but most areas are going to stay rain-free. Temperatures tonight drop into the upper 60s, low 70s, and we're back in the mid-90s tomorrow. Here's how it falls. You'll notice a mainly clear sky and temperatures through the 80s into the 70s overnight tonight. We'll talk more about the 10-day forecast and that earliest alert from the Weather Garden coming up.
All right, thanks, Kevin. The Eastern Kentucky floods will be featured on NBC's Survival Mode tonight. The docuseries gives viewers an inside look at some of the most devastating disasters from those who survived them. In this preview, the Eastman family recalls how a night of playing cards turned into a nightmare as they found themselves separated from one another, fighting for their lives as they struggled in the raging floodwaters.
I remember taking my last breath, and I remember giving up. I knew I couldn't swim. I knew I didn't have a chance.
The house broke in half, and then whenever it hit the bridge, it disintegrated into a million different pieces.
From that point on, I don't remember anything other than hit my head on the bridge.
We just all went separate ways and never knew if the other one was going to be okay.
When I came up out of the water, I didn't see anything. I didn't see anybody. I really thought my whole family was going to be dead.
And Survival Mode's episode on the Eastern Kentucky floods airs tonight at 10 right here on Wave News. Well, knowing when to speak up for yourself when something is off with your health can be intimidating.
But one local group is working to spread the message of advocacy when it comes to heart health. Wave News reporter Kirsten Foote shares more.
While February is widely known as Heart Disease Awareness Month, healthcare professionals and advocates say that it's important to stay on top of your heart health all year long. That message was highlighted on Monday at the Goodwill West Louisville Opportunity Center. Inside, Odwin Helton of Louisville and a member of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity shared his own heart health story. Helton says he's had high blood pressure for more than 20 years. But he began having difficulty going up and down steps, and he knew something wasn't right. He was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. Months later, he still wasn't getting better, so he sought the help of a cardiologist, where he learned just how bad his condition was. Since then, he's seen an improvement in his health. Now he's working to spread the message of taking care of your heart and speaking up when you feel like something's wrong.
And so I think more people need to learn about their legacy of health within their families. They need to learn about how do you read those numbers, and more importantly, they have to learn on how to be the best advocates for their own health. And that's something I think I've learned more than anything else. I have to be my #1 advocate for health.
Doctors with Norton Healthcare say that some symptoms of heart disease include chest pain, shortness of breath, and dizziness. They say if you have those or any other concerning symptoms, to check in with your doctor. Reporting in Louisville, Kirsten Foote, Wave News.
Well, we're getting closer and closer to spooky season, and one beloved seasonal franchise is getting a new installment. We're going to share the news for scary movie fans ahead.
Plus, a battle is brewing in D.C. over who can be fired from federal agencies. Coming up, we're hearing why what's happening at the Supreme Court right now matters for everything from airplanes to kitchen appliances.
Now, Wave News.
A battle is underway in D.C. right now over who is in charge of federal agencies. Those agencies work on everything from baby toys and commercial airlines to unfair business practices and employment law.
And for 90 years, one court decision has been repeatedly cited, saying in most cases the president is limited in who they can fire from these agencies. But National Consumer Investigator reporter Grace Jackman shows us why that history is all in question.
I didn't choose to enter the world of product safety. It chose me.
A loving father, Brett Horn, remembers a moment that changed his life forever.
Unfortunately, my 2.5-year-old son, Charlie, passed away when a dresser, only 30 inches high, tipped over on him and took his young life. Then I found out that there was a bigger problem. Dressers were tipping over and killing lots of children, hundreds as a matter of fact.
He turned his pain into advocacy, opening Charlie's House for safety training and helping create the Sturdy Act, working with regulators and the industry to ensure dressers are more safely designed. And while Horn supports the Trump administration's goals of smaller government, he firmly believes strong consumer product safety should continue to be a federal priority.
As a conservatively minded individual, I absolutely agree with the executive branch's efforts to cut costs with the federal government right now. However, I don't feel that product safety is the place we need to do that. Americans' safety should come first.
Since 1972, Congress gave that authority to the Consumer Product Safety Commission. This year, President Trump fired 3 Democratic commissioners.
Everything is under the thumb of the president, and that is subject to wild swings every 4 years.
Since January, the White House has removed Democratic members of at least 10 agencies, according to an analysis of news reports and press releases. Many have fought back in court. Richard Trumka Jr. is one of them and says right now, with only 2 Republican commissioners, there's no effective oversight. Proposed safety rules for products such as button batteries, water beads, and infant neck pillows are all on the Federal Register. But Trumka says they're not moving forward now.
They're using this power to turn their backs on American consumers and on your safety, and people are going to die as a result.
If the commission wants to restrict the way a company does business, we think that the agency should have to prove its case in a court of law.
Oliver Dunford with the Pacific Legal Foundation has represented an Oklahoma company that created an infant lounger and has had their own legal battle with the CPSC, which the company won. The law firm applauded the Supreme Court's decision to allow the White House to fire 3 commissioners, saying independent agencies like the CPSC have been allowed to operate free from constitutional constraints.
If you're a commissioner, your inherent bias is, I'm gonna try to expand my power.
Don Mays, a product safety expert who works with manufacturers, believes reputable companies do want regulation and oversight from the CPSC.
If we don't have a strong CPSC, what we find is that we get violative products that are crossing our borders and are competing with those manufacturers that want to make good products.
Investigate TV analyzed all notices the CPSC has issued in the past 16 years for consumer product law violations. 95% of those violations were for overseas products, but the Trump administration has signaled a possible plan to fold CPSC into the Department of Health and Human Services, a move sparking controversy.
The CPSC is one of those small agencies that nobody knows about until and unless you have a personal tragedy or a product injury. It's vital to consumers.
CPSC Acting Chairman Peter Feldman said in a May press release that the agency is poised to set a record on the number of recalls issued this year, but others say that the work at the agency has all but come to a halt. The CPSC did not respond to our team's request for the status of proposed rules.
Well, if you know a student who's doing some good work out in our community, now is the time to shine light on that work. We'll tell you how you can nominate them for this year's YMCA Youth Character Award.
Well, I'll step out to the hot weather garden, deliver an even hotter Tuesday forecast. How high will those temperatures go? We've got a storm chance to mention as well, and then a cool down that shows up in the 10-day earliest alert. We'll have it when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
All right, as we check in on your weather forecast here, Kevin's made his way out to the weather garden. Today, of course, is a leave the jacket inside day.
I feel like you need like a cool misting fan out there, Kevin.
That would be good. Do you have one you could bring out?
Yes, I'll bring it out in the next break for you.
I don't think we're allowed to plug those in, Kevin. That's one of those hazards they talk about.
Extension cords, you know.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah. Hey, out here in the weather garden, we have, it's a decent day with the breeze, but boy, when that stops, it's like, all right, it's a little hot. Not a whole lot of cloud cover. So certainly not a lot of coolness going on. A 92-degree temperature, the heat index up to 98, and that's thanks in part to that dew point that's now at 70 degrees, so that makes it feel sticky out here. Very summer-like for us. This isn't too abnormal from what we would expect in mid-August. Allergy report, good news there. We're in the low category for both the grass and the weed pollen. We've bounced to between low and medium on that weed pollen today, so we're starting to see more of the weed pollen show up in our day-to-day outlook and forecast looking ahead. Out on the patio tonight, 90s early on, dropping into the 80s, should be under a mainly clear sky. Any rain chances minimal and mainly to our north. I'll show you the radar in just a second. If you're headed to the State Fair, of course, it runs through the 24th. Tomorrow is wave day at the fair. 80s for your morning temperature. We're going to be already in the 90s by early afternoon, climbing into the mid-90s by 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow, and that comes with a 30% storm chance. We'll actually push that to a 40% storm chance around that 4 or 5 p.m. time frame, so keep that in mind. We are going to have a few downpours scattered around the viewing area, not necessarily at the fairgrounds. Impossible to pinpoint exactly where this far in advance. Well, we've had a number of days in the 90s, in fact 42 at or above 90, including today. Last year it was 59 of those days. We'll still add a few more to the list. Currently at 92, most areas not far from 90 degrees. That heat index makes it feel much warmer. 103 over in Jeff, just across the river. You look at Jasper coming in with 100 degrees. North Vernon 101. So you get the idea. You get away from the city, especially around some of the vegetation with the cornfields, giving off a little more moisture. You get a higher heat index value. Not quite a clean sweep on the radar, but close to it. We've had a few blips to our north, not far from Jackson, Jennings counties of Indiana. That's fading as it sinks to the south. Most of the action's up around northern Illinois, where we've had a number of severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings there over the last hour or so. Tonight, we're going to keep a mainly clear sky rolling into early tomorrow morning, and then as that front gets closer tomorrow, a few scattered storms develop in the afternoon and evening. That will push closer to us, especially in Indiana, with a strong storm chance. It's a marginal risk for your Tuesday. Then that front tries to gradually pass by. It really doesn't bring a ton of cool air behind it for the latter part of the week, but a more powerful front will move in by the weekend, and you'll feel the difference then. 92 our current temperature with a fairly calm wind. Tonight's low 73. It's warm, it's muggy. Tomorrow we're going to push that temperature to 95. It's the hottest of the 10-day, holding near 90 through the weekend. Lower storm chances after tomorrow, and as we take the storm chance out early next week, we're near 80. Monday could stay in the upper 70s. Nighttime lows back in the 50s.
I was going to say, those 50s, that'll look nice. Thanks, Kevin.
Sweatshirt weather. All right, thanks, Kevin. New here at 5:30, a Hardin County Fire Department has received a $10,000 grant from State Farm and the National Volunteer Fire Council. The Sonora Fire Department is one of the recipients. The announcement was made today to celebrate Volunteer Firefighters Recognition Day. Volunteer firefighters make up 65% of the U.S. fire service, and the money will help the department meet the rising costs of the equipment and the gear to help increase safety, efficiency, and effectiveness. A total of $1.5 million was awarded to 150 volunteer fire departments nationwide.
Also new here at 5:30, nominations are now open for the YMCA Youth Character Awards. The award recipients are chosen based on their commitment to strengthen our community. Honorees will be selected by a committee of YMCA leadership volunteers. Each honoree will receive $2,500 in scholarships to help them in their academic and leadership pursuits. If you know an extraordinary teen who exemplifies the Y core values, you can nominate them from now through September 19th. We'll be right back.
We have some breaking news right now. Parts of Interstate 65, they are now closed in Sellersburg due to this crash that you're seeing here on your screen. You can see traffic starting to move for some drivers there, but the crash happened between Old State Road 311 and St. Joe Road. It's not clear how long this closure will be in place.
Two stars will return to the Scary Movie franchise. Anna Faris and Regina Hall are set to reunite for a new installment in the horror spoof franchise. Returning writer and star Marlon Wayans announced this news on Instagram. After an 18-year hiatus, the Wayans brothers are reuniting to pen the script for this 6th installment. The movie's set to arrive in theaters on June 12th of 2026.
Star Trek is celebrating its 60th anniversary with new action figures. The franchise first launched in 1966. The company, who now has the rights to produce the toys and playsets, plans on a number of releases. The first set will feature rare characters such as Peter Preston and Valkyris. Future waves will showcase favorites like Kirk, Spock, and Captain Janeway. Fans can expect even more releases leading up to 2026. Well, we thank you for watching Wave News at 5.
Wave News at 6 is coming up next.